In Romans chapter 3, verse 6, Paul answers the objection raised in verse 5. Far from it, for otherwise how will God judge the world? So, in order to make sense of this, remember the question Paul has just raised. If God comes out looking good when we behave badly, why does God become angry with us? Now, we've talked before in this video series about paying attention to the pronouns Paul uses. In other words, every time Paul says we, he doesn't necessarily mean everybody, everywhere. You and I, 21st century Christians, should be very careful not to read ourselves into every we that we come across. And verses 5 and 6 of chapter 3 make a really good case for doing this, or for not doing this, I guess. Remember that Paul is anticipating the objection that will be raised by the Jewish Judaizer in the Roman church who has accused Paul of lying and being ashamed of his gospel. Remember that Paul has explained to these Jews that they think they are judging impartially, but they are actually being very partial in their judgments, condemning the Gentiles for not keeping the law, when that very mentality betrays the heart change that the law points to has not occurred. That heart change only comes through faith in the Messiah, Jesus Christ. So Paul anticipates the Jew asking, if some Jews disobey God, and God still proves faithful to Israel, demonstrating God's righteousness over the law-keeping mentality, then is God actually being unrighteous in his judgment of Israel? And Paul says here, far from it, not at all. And then Paul asks the question, how then will God judge the world? In other words, if God shows partiality, like you're doing, then he has no basis to judge either you or the Gentiles. He proves to be just as unrighteous as the mentality Paul is speaking against, if that is the case. And it's not the case, and that's the point Paul is making. And we'll see how he continues to develop this point in the next verse.